everybody. Welcome back to Indie's Nutz podcast, all you nerds and turds. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and I'm only one of two this week because Andy's MIA.
That's true.
And my buddy over here is Mr. Nuff, Matt Murray.
That's me.
How you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
how's it going? How we doing, everybody?
How
doing
are you?
good.
How are you doing? Are you doing well?
Yeah, I'm.
Dice Throne is in the house. Marvel
Dice
Dice
Throne-
Throne is in the house.
Yeah, so I just had like one of the most fun and also anxiety-inducing games of
Yep.
my life
Mhm.
because I got to play new Dice Throne, which is basically Battle Yahtzee. It's really fun. But also I had to get here on time, and the game lasted longer than I thought it would because there's a bunch of new characters. We were all trying to figure out the mechanics.
Sure.
But man, was it a blast!
It always does, doesn't it? It always lasts longer than you think it's going to.
It's true. That's true.
Board games be doing that, yo. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Indie's Nuts Podcast, the internet's #1 indie, 100% devoted indie news, previews, and reviews podcast that you've never heard of, probably. The show posts each and every week for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, and of course, you could watch us do the show live on twitch.tv/dual screens streams, just like our chat right here. We got Britster, we got Miss Envy, we got Mikey Kirsch. Who else we got here? We got Adre in the chat. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And of course, you can watch the video version later on YouTube on youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. And if you want to support us on Patreon, it's so easy. Matt Murray, it's so easy.
How easy is it, Steve?
All you have to do is go to patreon.com/dualscreens. Isn't that easy? And then you go there and you just pick a tier that works for you. You know, a $1
That's so
a
easy.
month. You could do $1 a month. Anybody
It's not
can
even
do
a lot of
$1.
money.
No, I mean, all you need is a bank account. So babies can't necessarily do it, but I mean, if you have a PayPal, you could do it.
No, babies could give someone else $1 who
That's
has
true.
a bank account. You know,
Yeah,
that's less than a soda, guys.
that's so much less than a soda, like $1 less than a soda, or pop, or sody pop, or Coke, depending on where
That's
you
even
are.
less than an Arizona nowadays.
Yeah,
which is-
Arizona's are like a
$1.29.
$1.29 now. There is still a stock of 99-cent advertised cans, like the cans that have the 99-cent on it. I
Yeah.
hunt those down because honestly, they're never gonna expire. Let's be serious. The
Yeah,
stuff
it's
that's in there,
fucking tea.
you know, it's not going. It could get a little skunky, but it's got enough sugar in there that it ain't going anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna dive right into the show with
Drinking that bad tea.
our indie game adventures. We played a metric shit ton of games. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games on your list. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on my list. Just to start it off, and I want to start it off with a game that I think you would also get a kick out of, even though it is probably the worst one I've played out of all of them. Wrestling Cardboard Championship.
Okay.
This game is a simple arcade style friend beat 'em up. You know, like you just slap each other around. You are literally cardboard boxes.
Sounds amazing.
There are 5 cardboard boxes to choose from in the demo. You could play the demo now. They all have their own entrance music
Oh my
and
God, this looks
entrances.
amazing.
They have their own special abilities. And it's absolutely hilarious. So the first one I played as was the FedEx parody one, and he comes out to a parody of Rob Van Dam's ECW song Pantera's Walk.
Yep.
And it's like and he comes
Box.
out and the box comes out. Basically. And the box comes out and it does like this weird like twisty motion, and you could tell like the corners are doing like the RVD like arm motion, but like kind of slightly, and then like the flap will open and then it'll go to the ring, and it gets into the ring and it goes on one of the corners and shoots fire out of its top. And like they do crowd shots, but there's no crowd, but it's the Hammerstein Ballroom. Like it's clearly the Hammerstein Ballroom in Manhattan, and or the Manhattan Center or whatever it was, or the ECW Arena. It could be that too, but it looked a little bit too fancy for that. And then my opponent comes out and it has its own theme song. It came out of the crowd like Sandman. It's flapping all over the place. You get in, and literally all you're doing is strong attack or light attack, strong attack, and jump. And I don't know if you could pin, but you can do special moves. And my FedEx box's special move was ordering something from the parody of Amazon, and you use that thing as a weapon. So like I'll order like a stick of dynamite and it'll like blow up and like the box will go flying. But you're basically just running around slapping each other as cardboard boxes until you get somebody in the negative and then they just get knocked out. And
Do they like fly out of the ring or like
oh yeah,
they literally
you
get
could,
KO'd?
oh no, everything. You could throw them out of. You could like hit them out of the ring. You could fight on the outside. You could break the barricades, flop all over the place. It's hilarious.
This seems like something I would love.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this is like a let's get the dual screens community together to
Yes.
play this shit.
Now, that being said, it
Oh,
barely works. Like it,
sick.
like I can't tell what I'm doing, but I just see the percentage going down on the bad guy, so I'm like, cool, I'm doing it. Just like I'm just spamming X and Y, and
And
then
is that just because there's such like a lack of actual animation
that is
to
correct.
anything happening?
They are just slamming into each other. Like that's really, and then like they'll flop around, they'll jump, they'll spin. It's so dumb, but I could see this being like a party animals type game where it's just a bunch of friends or what was that other one? The physics based
Gang
one,
Beasts?
Gang Beasts. It's gonna be something like that but it's like it's funny. Like to me, I found it hilarious because I recognized where they were pulling their inspirations from, like the ECW stuff and whatever, and WCW, but it's all and TNA, but it's all fucking cardboard boxes. There's a shoe box. There's a normal box. There was a FedEx box. There was.
I think you got to give him a little bit of credit for being able to like directly reference those things to a recognizable degree with cardboard boxes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I don't expect like an average gamer who doesn't know what those are. I mean, ECW's been out of business since like 1999. I don't expect anybody to know what this is that wasn't specifically watching that show back in the day, but it is fucking hilarious when you see that stuff. Like coming down the aisle and like giving high fives to a crowd as a cardboard box, a crowd that isn't there, by the way.
That's so funny. Just looking at the empty arena of just like poorly designed chairs and like just like the general aesthetic looks hilarious.
I believe the dev's name is Angry Geometry, which makes it even better.
Because it's what a box is.
Because what they
Angry
are.
boxes.
They're just angry geometry. There was something else that I thought was hilarious. What I thought would be hilarious is if all the people were like packing popcorn, like if it was just those like in the crowd. Just that, like that was the crowd, just like packing popcorn with like mustaches and long hair and like those styrofoam little packing. Although they did ban them here in the States, recently.
Wait, really?
Something like that. Yeah, like you could use them or like styrofoam is banned. Like all of us. Yeah. So
good to know.
Yeah, good to know. But yeah, so let's alternate. What did you play? Talk to me about one of the games you played.
Angerfoot. Angerfoot is a ridiculous first-person door kicker.
Yeah, it is.
So this is just like a balls to the wall. You're moving as fast as you can. You die in one or a few hits. Like if you get meleeed, you instantly die. You can get shot a couple times, and literally like E is to kick. Right, and so you're kicking doors down, and they're crumbling and flying against people. You're kicking people, and they're fucking flying up against the wall. You can pick up guns, but like, who the fuck wants to shoot a gun when you can like super kick people into the wall?
Right.
And it's just like this really fun, fast, kind of furious.
You're just Sparta kicking
shooter. Yeah, you're just Sparta kicking everything. And you know, I had fun. I died a lot. It is more difficult than you would think because at first, before you get guns, you literally only have your foot. And so you're like backtracking while things come at you, just like waiting for one of them to get close enough to kick.
Yeah,
and then he flies and you're like, all right, who's next? So you're literally Sparta, like you're waiting like 300 at the bottleneck, waiting for them all to come through, just fucking kicking him against walls.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't deeper than that and had a really cool cartoony like aesthetic. Kind of low poly, but not really.
Both of our games sound like game jams, I'll be honest.
I think Angerfoot actually was. I actually played this on itch.io like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, just on a whim. And I had no idea it was going to come to Steam eventually, but it's fun seeing like how far they've come since then, because it was a little rough around the edges back then. And, it seems like they've straightened stuff out, and I was surprised at how well it ran on my computer, considering how good it looks.
There you go. All right, hit us up with another one, and then we'll do one of mine.
So why don't I move to something less first-person shootery?
Sure.
Terra Nil. This is a really cool, like, not city builder game. It's like the anti-city builder. So you're presented with kind of a barren wasteland, and you can build all these different machines that will create different types of biomes, and greenify this kind of barren wasteland. And it's about filling this wasteland with a certain percentage of different biomes, and trying to balance what gets built, and why, and where they're built, and how they kind of hang out together is really the puzzle of the game. And eventually, you kind of build up so much, you hit those percentages, and then you have to start taking away all the machines, which is a really cool little mechanic where you've now greenified everything, or you've made some swamps, you've made some forests, you've made a little bit of a desert, right, to have desert life, and now everything's in balance, and you have to leave no trace. And so you build a ship that goes out and gets all these different machines to strategically pull them out and come back. And then at the end of the level, you're kind of left with, oh, I beautified this parcel of land. It's really, really interesting.
Like how the ancient aliens did when they made Earth, right?
That is exactly what it is, Steve.
Right.
We are the ancient aliens re-beautifying Earth.
Now, do like species just like pop up out of nowhere, or like do you have influence on the life forms, or are you just creating like an intelligent life, or not intelligent, but you know what I mean, like animal life?
Yeah, so based on what biomes you build, and what balance you can get, like deers will spawn in like forests, frogs will spawn in like swampy areas and stuff. And there are, I guess, like combinations that you can get that will spawn different events. I didn't run into one of those, but I guess in the full game they're planning on adding those. But really what it's more about is like a lot of the buildings have areas of effect. Whether it be a like a 9x9 grid around them, or a straight line across the whole board. And it's balancing the areas of effect of all the different towers and buildings, and what they do, and like, oh, this will make this riverbed, and then you can like build another building that will water out from that building on the riverbed for a certain distance. And it mechanically, it plays very much like a city builder, but the puzzle elements are so much better designed. Definitely highly recommend. I think even after Next Fest, you can go play the demo. And I would really highly suggest it for anybody that likes like either city builders or puzzle games or anything like that, or just wants like, it's kind of chill. So it's like a really good little chill nature experience. It's very fun.
Yeah, I mean, I would be super interested in something like that if like I could almost play God a little bit and like see what happens with the experiment I made, and like see what kind of life comes about, what happens in like if you simulate like 10,000 years, like,
and see what builds up afterwards.
Yeah, like what happens, like what is there an intelligent life, or like something like that, just like kind of sitting by and just kind of watching it and be like, here's the, like this is planet 1, you made this whatever, and like go into that save file like months later and just see what happened on it, like a little virtual ant farm.
Like time actually passes between saves. So like I logged in at like I last saw this planet in February of 2021, and it's like,
and like every day will be like 1,000 years. Yeah, since
that's actually a cool idea.
That'd be dope. Like I'd just like to see what would happen. I mean, it would be incredibly difficult, but
yeah, I actually think that there is I can't remember the name. I'll have to look for it, but there is a game where you're building Earth, or building a planet in that fashion. And I forget what it's called. What do you get next on the docket?
So, remember last week I mentioned Dark Quest board game?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Dark Quest. I know that it is a franchise somewhere. Like I've seen other games, Dark Quest, whatever. So I know nothing about it. So listener, if you know about it and you're going to be screaming at your screen, excuse me, your phone, your screen, whatever, of like, oh duh, whatever, just leave it at the door, because to me everything's new. So this game is really fucking cool. I didn't think I would like it nearly as much as I did, but it's essentially a tabletop RPG deck building roguelike adventure game where
I feel like when you mentioned this last time, you were like, I love this, but I'm not sure yet. And so like, is it that you've played more of it?
No. I wasn't sure based on the art style and the animations and like how it, like everything that I looked, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. It just looks a little corny. It looks a little rough.
Gotcha.
So when I dove in, the first thing you do is you have 5 classes. You have your wizard. You have some sort of like paladin looking chick. You have a ranger. You have a dwarf that looks like kind of like a fighter. And then there was like a barbarian like class. But they don't call them by the classes. They call them dwarf, elf, whatever, like that. So you pick your class. You're 4 of them. You pick your party, and then you go on your adventure. And what happens is each character has 3 cards to start. They have an attack, their basic attack. They have a movement, which is a basic movement, and they have a like some of them will have like a defense, or like add defense to themselves or whatever. It varies depending on the character, and so there's a deck on the side. Well, there's a card or whatever on the side. You flip it up, and it's an event that will happen to your party. So it'll be like, you come across a creek. You could cross the creek, or you could do whatever. So like you could say, all right, my party, you're gonna roll a die 20, and it's gonna have difficulty classes. So it'll be like a 1 to 5, you fail at crossing the creek. A 6 to 10, you succeed, and then it'll have like a little reward or something like that. Like one of them that I came up to was I forget if it was a bookshelf or something, and it was you could use your party's strength. So the more strength based characters you have, the easier the success will be. So it'll be, all right, a 3 to 10 successfully moves the thing, but a 0, 1, or 2, whatever, doesn't. So you do the thing, and it'll be like, okay, you moved it out of the way, and there's a treasure chest there. You open the treasure chest, and you get equipment. You could put any equipment on anybody, and everybody could have up to 5 pieces of equipment. So like that's the roguelike element to it, where you're gonna start augmenting and changing how your party works with each other. You're gonna be like, okay, my dwarf is gonna be my meat shield, so I'm gonna throw the chainmail that I found and the ring of magic shield or whatever. So you like start finding all these things, and then you'll come across cool moments like you came across like a sleeping, I think it was a sleeping bear or something like that. Like you could sneak around it, or you could ambush it. And next to ambushing it, it'll say item reward or equipment award or whatever it would be, or a rune or something like that. So like you'll take that risk, and then you get into a fight. And the way combat works is it's a lot like playing tabletop D&D, where
I was just looking at it. Yeah, it's all grid based.
It's all grid based. You move your characters around very elementary. In the beginning, you're really just gonna have an attack. You use your attack, but as you get more equipment and you level up your characters, they'll add more cards to their hand. So like you can use, a magic. One of them that I got for my archer was I could do 1 to 3 damage to 3 different targets. But
that's awesome.
If there's less than 3 targets, he can't do anything with that card. So that card's only useful if you have 3 or more opponents. You can't like stack on one, and you can't shoot at nothing.
Now, is there permadeath? Like, so like if you die, your run's over?
When your character dies, you have 4 characters. When all 4 of them die, they're gone. But you could find things like, a magic troll or whatever will give you, will revive one person at the sacrifice of 50% of another party member's health, or like stuff like that. So like, if you could manage to get through, you can get to another part, and it's really just about how far you can go.
Mm-hmm.
I only did 2 runs, and nothing, like, you unlock other characters. Like, I met I want to say it was like a Valkyrie type character. She then became usable on my next run.
Oh, that's awesome.
But nothing else was
there's like no there's no like meta.
No, at least not at the point I got up to. Like, I cleared the first area, which was like this forest or whatever, and then you get into a little bit more of a difficult area. And I assume it's gonna. I don't know how much how deep the game goes. I don't know if there's gonna be a part where, you know, you have to make decisions as to what you're gonna keep, what you're gonna give away. But like, once everybody dies, it said your run is over, and it boom kicked me right back to the beginning. It was like, pick your party. I'm like, okay. Either way, it was really cool.
Yeah, one more question, I guess. Is there any other way to add cards to your deck? Like, do events eventually add cards to your deck?
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Cool. It's not like, just leveling up.
No, you'll find equipment that'll add abilities to you. You'll find random runes that will be abilities that you can have. And you'll also come across, like, for lack of a better, I forget what they call them, but they're basically boons, where it's like everybody heals 2 hit points, but the next attack does double damage or against you or whatever, you know, shit like that. So like then you go into other battles knowing, okay, this guy has the most hit points. This one is almost dying, so I'm going to keep him in the back. But the opponent could just like run up to you and just start slapping you around. Like, I fought a dragon at the end of the first like area, and it had a massive footprint, so it was really hard to get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool because like I could pick at it from afar with the bow and get my guy up close and start hitting, and it was just really cool. Like, I want to dive back in and see all the different permutations you could have with your party and see, you know, that what it does.
I like the looks of this a lot. It reminds me conceptually a little bit of Hand of Fate, which was like you're sitting across from somebody, and they're kind of like telling they're telling your story with cards. But the combat in that game was like third-person action adventure combat, not necessarily tabletop stuff.
Yeah,
this looks awesome though.
It feels like a solo card game, like a card game you're playing solo, like against the deck, like I forget
One Deck Dungeon.
Like One Deck Dungeon, exactly. Yeah, I have a couple of those. Like, that's what it felt like I was doing. What do you got on here? You got a few more games here.
Yeah, I'll hit with like 1 or 2 more. So as we all know, arena survival games right now, like Vampire Survivors and 20 Minutes Till Dawn, are super popular at the moment, and there's no shortage of them coming out anytime soon. And so I took a look into a couple of them, and Brotato was one of them. And so this is like more like Vampire Survivors, where you can't shoot, like actively shoot rather. The whole game is just kiting enemies. You're just walking around this arena, and you play a potato. There are like 7 to 10 different potatoes you can pick at the start with all different stats. Like, some will have like +5 health, or +7 melee damage or something like that, and they all kind of like start you on a path to some kind of specialty. As you level up, you can choose different abilities, weapons, upgrades, all this kind of stuff. And it'll be like, now you have +7 to range damage, or +2 to attack speed, or something like that, or armor, or health, or a whole litany of different skills that you can have. One of the cool parts, though, is when you level up, there's a store after each wave of enemies that comes out. And with the money and experience that you've gained during that wave, you can buy items that will augment your run. Kind of similar to what I was saying with, like, it's more like a gear score increase, or life leech, or something like that, like along those lines. But the weapons you can buy also. You can also buy weapons there. And the cool part is that with the weapons, they have rarities, right? Like a normal rarity, white, green, blue, the standard array. But if you have 2 of the same common, like the 2 of the same level, you can combine them to raise it up a level. And so it becomes like this. You can only hold 6 weapons at a time, and so it becomes this like balancing act of, okay, I have like a common gun, and there's a common gun in the shop, but there's also this other item in the shop that would give me extra harvesting, which gives you more money per enemy you kill. Do I want the extra money, or do I buy the gun so that I have better firepower for the next
Do a little
round?
bit more damage, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a really cool take on that. I will say, like, I got a little I'm like 50-50 on it. I think that mechanic is really cool, but since playing 20 minutes till dawn, I keep wanting to call it 20 minutes till midnight because it just sounds cooler. And having like a more active participation in like a survival arena game, I like being able to shoot. But it's still a pretty good one, and check it out if you're into those kind of games. It is fun. It looks like a Flash game, like from Newgrounds.
Yeah, yeah. And then you've been playing 20 minutes till dawn, which is more your cup of tea.
Yeah, I am fucking obsessed with that game.
You're in it.
I am deep in it. It is just like I can't explain what about it is so good. It's just like this. It has that one more run. It's partially a roguelike. There's strategy involved because you kind of know what's coming as the timers count down. And you can really like craft your run, and it like allows you this ability that other arena survival games don't, where at the beginning of your run you can select character who has different kinds of abilities, like more health, or like right click to waste all the rest of the ammo in your clip and shoot it out immediately, and different guns that have different abilities: shotguns, SMGs, a crossbow. There's a gun called a bat gun that just shoots bats that home in on the enemies and shit. And I love the agency that game gives you over how you kind of want to start your run, and then you can craft it from there. And it makes it feel much more specialized. So, and it's only like $3. And if you like Vampire Survivors, there's literally no reason for you to not play that game.
$3.
$3. This could also be our Indie Steal of the Week, by the way.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's it. It's the Indie Steal of the Week. Put it in on the board.
Put it up on the scoreboard.
Speaking of running, Earth's Shadow. I played the Earth's Shadow demo for a little bit, and it got it. So the game is a third-person action shooter game, set on a weird alien planet. It is very much got the vibes of Returnal, in its style. Right. This was made by one person. It is really pretty, but it's a little rough around the edges. But I really, really like what this guy is doing with the atmosphere and the gunplay. You go around, you're looking for resources and and guns and whatever. It's very simple. You're running around, you shoot the alien creatures. It seems like every alien drops something, and most of the things hurt you. Like, one of them dropped this blue crystal, and I'm like, cool. Well, the first thing that happens is there's this weird red, like, mushroom thing that sticks out of the ground, and I'm like, ooh, that looks weird. I'm going to shoot it, and nothing happens when you shoot it, so I'm like, okay. And you have two attacks. You have, like, your regular gun, and then you could do your alt fire, which is like a big, like, grenade blast. At least that's what we started with. And then you go up to it and like, oh, it's health. It healed me. Oh, cool. This little mushroom creature thingy, or like looking thing, healed me. So then I kill an enemy, and the enemy drops this beautiful blue crystal. And I'm like, dope. It's a beautiful blue crystal. I'm obviously going to go get that. And then it just starts electrocuting me. And I'm like, why is this like? So then I back up, and I'm like, oh, cool. A beautiful green emerald crystal. I want this crystal. It's got to do something, right? Poison. Just poisoned me. I'm like, okay.
Sounds amazing.
I'm like, oh, a red crystal? Well, the red mushroom was health, right? So the red crystal's got fire. It's flames. It burned me.
Wouldn't you have learned by then, Steve? The crystals are bad.
Then I realized, oh, I see what's happening. You have to use what they drop to kind of kite enemies around so that they go into the hazard.
Oh.
And like you're kind of, because you're super underpowered. Like if they hit you like 4 times and you're dead. So it's almost like this this arena like setup where you're running around. You're still trying to. It's still narrative based. Like you're looking for keys to open a door. You're going to the waypoint. You're trying to get off the planet. Yada yada. Trying to figure out what's going on. Very very Returnal in that way. But it's not loop based. It's got its own. It's just a simple.
So there's almost like a weird tower defense-y aspect to it, where you're setting up these minefields of elemental crystals.
But
and
I don't know if that's part of the design. Like I don't know if that's on purpose. But I realized that when I was shooting things, I don't know if I was affecting what they dropped, if it was the type of monster they were that determined what they drop. But like all of a sudden I'll see a blue crystal. I'll be like, okay, I know I have 10 seconds. Anything that gets closer, it's gonna get zapped. So like I'll turn around and I'll be backing away from the enemy, shooting, and like getting it to come near me, and then I'll jump over the crystal and it would zap the little spider guy and end up killing it. It doesn't it's coming out in August. It definitely needs polish. Like it feels very low budget, floaty, like just doesn't feel tight. Like it doesn't have the impact that you would want it to.
I gotcha.
It's I just think it could use a little bit of like maybe somebody else coming in that has experience making more of these on a bigger budget and just kind of like tightening all that up. But I really like the world. I like the idea of exploring in this world, and it's got survival horror vibes to it, but it didn't really feel too scary. It felt more like a Dead Space 3 than a Dead Space 1.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Yeah, I can definitely see the Returnal influence for sure.
Yeah, it's not a bullet hell like that. It's more like a Doom arena type, like a Doom Eternal arena type, with a lot less enemies. Obviously, third person, not first person. That's more of what it felt like. I really enjoyed it. Go ahead.
Are there chests that explode in like a Pringles can of snakes?
Correct.
What does that do?
I don't know. It hurt me. That's what it did. Yeah.
So you open the chest. You're looking for something, and like spaghetti comes out.
So there was
in the spaghetti.
So there was a chest. The chest had items in it. You could get the items, and then there were like these little cocoon-looking things that you can melee, and they'll explode, and there'll be like these little worm larvae that will come out, and like they're like going towards you. But like I guess if you leave them alone long enough, they'll turn into something else, because like then all of a sudden there'll be like a scorpion creature chasing you. Still trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this world. You will find astronauts that are dead, and like you'll read their journal and be like, we sent out the signal months or weeks ago, and we still haven't heard anything, whatever. So something is going on. You have a little robot guy that talks to you. He's like an AI robot helper that it's kind of trying to guide you through everything. You clearly have a relationship with this robot. Like you guys have been going on adventures a long time. It's kind of like a Luke and R2 situation. Cool vibes, man. I think I'm gonna check this one out when it comes out.
Yeah, it looks rad.
The game that I absolutely fell in love with, and I wasn't expecting it, was Ghost Song, which is a Metroidvania, and it has the ability to be super roguelike. So
caught my attention.
When you start up, there are two modes you could pick. You could pick the normal playthrough, which is you die, you lose your shit, you lose everything, and you have to go find your stuff and pick it back up.
This looks beautiful.
Or you could play it a little bit more casual, where the combat is all the same. Every aspect of the game is the same, except you don't lose everything when you die. You only lose some of your XP that you can go and try and get. You find little points, just like a Souls-like. You use your XP to increase your stats. You go around and find these equipment modules that you could. There's weapon modules and there's equipment modules. And those are the things that affect the way your character plays. So, like, I found one. My character by default had 7 power points. So these augments that I'm finding, these modules that I'm finding, they have a monetary value. So you could put as many of them on as you could fit up to your max. Gotcha. So one of them I had was worth 5, and I had no other ones that were worth 1 or 2. So I couldn't I could only have this one. But what this one did was every so often and pretty frequently, it would spawn a little flower that I could collect that will give me a little bit of health. So like I constantly had these trail of health drops that like if I wanted to, I could just run back and forth and just get all my health back. And it was awesome. And then when you level up, which you gather experience by killing things, and then you'll find these kind of like these big. It almost looks like the Samus, when Samus finds a new weapon, like it's holding it in its hand, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it kind of looks like that.
Chorzo statue.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that, and you go there and you could spend your experience points leveling up specific stats. So like your gun power, your power level, so that you could fit more modules, your speed, your health, your energy, because you use energy to do you get a dash ability, just like a Metroidvania. You're gonna find different abilities that are gonna help you in different scenarios. In the demo, you get the dash, so now you could you could dash across and find and get to places you weren't able to get to. And there's also melee. At least there's melee weapon drops, because your gun overheats and gets less powerful as it's overheating. Like it just shoots way slower. So your other option is you could alternate by then using melee, and your basic melee is basically just swinging your arm at a thing. But then I found a spear that has extra range and did a shit ton of damage. So like I was able to do like 200 damage as opposed to 30 with my gun.
Wow.
I was able to like stab and like back up. Enemy designs fucking awesome.
Yeah, the art looks so good. The art looks amazing.
Is brilliant. It's so haunting. It's hauntingly beautiful. Like it's gross, but in like the best way.
I'm gonna download this demo right now.
You absolutely should. Like I cleared the demo. I was like, fuck, I want this game now. Like I want this right now. So yeah, I mean that Ghost song, check it out.
Releasing this year too.
Yeah, releasing at some point. Yeah, I think it's that one was in August. That one I think it just says 2022.
Yeah, it doesn't have a set date yet.
Yeah. Do you have a last game you want to talk about? I see you have a couple of them on there, right?
Yeah. So, I'll talk about Dead Link. So this is a really cool first-person shooter. The setup is pretty wild. You're in a training program for a like super future security company where you put on like a VR headset and are controlling this robot. And so it's a roguelike, and that's how they kind of explain away. Game? No.
Oh, okay.
It's just a first-person shooter, but so they explain away the roguelike nature of the game by saying, "Oh, like your robot died, but you're still alive because you're just wearing the headset." This is kind of like we were just talking about, like a arena style, Doom style shooter, and this works very similar to that. In that, like you're going into these very small arena-like rooms and killing everything in it, and at the end of that, you'll have kind of like a Hades-style choice of doors to go through sometimes,
sure.
Or there's only one. And the way that upgrades work in this game is you have like two. So there's only one character unlocked at the beginning of the game, or in the demo rather, and they have two active abilities and a grenade. And so like my active abilities were this hook shot that I could kind of send out and pull myself towards either a thing or a person. And then I had this thing called recall, where you shoot it out of your hand and it kind of stuns somebody for a second, or it shoots out kind of in a cone. So if you time it right, you could really like get a decent amount of people in it all at the same time. But every upgrade that you get is a mod to one of those abilities, and it only triggers when you use that ability. So it's not like you're gaining extra abilities, but it could be like, oh, I shoot out my my hook, and the person on the other end gets set on fire, or they're weaker, or they take X amount of damage, or alternatively, like I use my flash ability and I heal a little bit. And these are all on cooldowns, or it could be, hey, it cools down. My cooldowns happen faster, and it just had like a really cool, like futuristic vibe to it all. I really loved the active ability meshing of like the upgrades and the roguelike nature of it being tied into the active abilities, because I feel like when we see what the other characters are, you're going to be able to like put together some really cool runs. The gunplay felt amazing. The enemy, the AI, is actually pretty smart. Like it killed me more times than I would probably like to admit in my short time playing this demo. And then there is like a meta currency that you bring back with you, and you can slowly upgrade your character. Things like health, shield, um, how much power you can use, which is very similar to kind of what you were just talking about in Ghost Song, where your ability mods take up a certain amount of power, and each slot that you have only has a certain amount of power that is associated with it. So, you could pick up a mod that requires 2 power, but your grappling gun only outputs 1 power, so you can't put it there. And it's this strategy of kind of balancing those things or juggling what upgrades you want, where they go, and how they work. I had a really, really good time with this game, and I honestly, I can't wait for it to come out because I can't wait to see what the other characters are and what they do.
I hope there's like a multiplayer there too.
Oh, that would be sick.
Where you can just play with a bunch of your brosifs and your homies and your homegirls.
I would love a deathmatch. A deathmatch in that sounds like it would be fantastic.
Well, you have all of those games to look forward to. A lot of cool stuff, but a little news here. The Prime Gaming, I guess, Prime Day, is live right now for the next 20 days. So if you are Amazon Prime,
crazy.
There is a crap ton of free games that you can download right now just for being an Amazon Prime member. By the way, if you are a Prime member, that means you have Twitch Prime, which means you could give us that sub. Go to twitch.tv/dualscreenstreams and hit the Prime button and all that stuff.
These aren't like fucking nothing games either. Like a lot of them are great games. Like Far Cry 4 is one of the games on here.
There's Far
like
Cry 4
title.
Gold Edition. There's the Dark Side Detective and the A Fumble in the Dark. The two there. There's
Metal Slug 2.
Yeah, Far Cry.
Give me that shit all day.
Far Cry 4 and okay, that one's in 7 days. They also have Hue on here, which is a fantastic game. Also, great game, Metal Unit.
Oh, I remember that
Metal
guy.
Unit, really good game. Metal Slug 2. Gianna Sisters Twisted Dream is a really good game. Gone Viral is dope. King of Fighters 2002. Fatal Fury Special.
Serial Cleaner is kind of like a Hotline Miami like game but it's more stealth based, where you're trying to go into a crime scene and clean it up.
Which one was that?
Serial Cleaner.
I didn't see that one. Oh yeah, yep. Serial Cleaner. Yeah, okay.
Rain World is very weird.
Rain World is dope too. Yeah.
Really awesome.
Also Death Squared, really fun game. Calico. Calico is a dope game about a cat lover. If you like cats.
Steve loves that game.
So yeah, there's a ton of games on here. Road Trip is on here. There's also in-game content that you can get as well. But honestly, I've never seen.
It's just the outpouring of
this much. Yeah,
outpouring of free games. It's crazy.
Don't want to miss that thing in the chat. Okay. But anyway, that was a huge piece of news that I want to make sure everybody knew about. Do you have a Kickstarter of the week? I think there was. I believe Andy had something.
I think Andy had one.
Yeah, but he's not here, so we'll save that one for next week. Oops. There we go. Sorry, you're good.
I don't have one in mind. I was sleeping because I was on Andy's. I was looking forward to that.
That's all right. It's okay. So that's gonna do it for the show. It's gonna be a little shorter show this week, but you know what? We're happy to be here and tell you about all these cool games that we've been playing. Hope we got some recommendations. Hope you guys check out some of those demos. Next week we'll get a little bit meatier of a news section, hopefully, and we'll have a Kickstarter for you to kind of keep your eyes on. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, if you want to follow us, we're at dual_screens on Twitter. I'm at Batchild27. Andy is at PantsGuy, and Matt is at Mr. Nuff. You could, again, follow us on twitch.tv/dualscreenstreams. You could subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. And look for us on your favorite podcast service. You must find it. That is where it be. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. And as always, please be excellent to indie games.